This is Sean Radcliff. Welcome to another episode of Preservation Oaks. In this series, we introduce you to professionals from museums, cultural, genealogical, and historical societies across the United States. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy the program. Hey, good day, everyone. Thanks for being here. We got a great program for you today. For this episode, we greet Ms. Heidi Chapman, the director of the Frankenmuth Historical Association and Museum, located in Frankenmuth, Michigan. The Frankenmuth Historical Museum is a part of the Frankenmuth Historical Association, which was founded in 1963 and opened the museum in 1973 after acquiring the Kern Commercial House Hotel, which was built in 1905. I'm Sean Radcliff, and I'm coming to you from Salt Lake City, and this is Preservation Oaks, the original talk program on MicroStream Radio, where we feature information about museums, cultural and heritage institutions, associations, historical and genealogical societies, and history-focused media creators across the United States. By the way, our main platform is preservationoaks.podbean.com. You can find us on nearly all podcast platforms, as well as Rumble, Getter, Minds, TikTok, Facebook, Odyssey, and YouTube. So wherever you listen to the program, I appreciate it very much when you like, comment, follow, or subscribe. If you'd like your organization featured as our guest on the program, or if you have questions or comments about the program, spin off an email to preservationoaks@gmail.com. We're incredibly grateful when you spread the word about our program to your friends, colleagues, and beyond. Your support in expanding our audience helps shine a light on the unsung heroes of Preservation Oaks, bringing them the recognition they deserve. Thank you for helping us raise awareness. Unlike many podcasts, we don't seek financial contributions from our listeners at all. We make no money. We do this work to recognize these wonderful organizations and to allow them to share the excellent work they're doing. So we simply ask for your help in sharing our show and helping it grow. In today's society, we often celebrate those who entertain us with their performances on screen and at the movies. They captivate us with their ability to become someone else, earning substantial paychecks and prestigious awards for their talents. But the individuals featured on our podcast are not acting. They're the real heroes. They dedicate themselves to protecting, preserving, and educating others about our history every day. These individuals are the backbone of our nation, and it's crucial that we support their efforts. They work tirelessly to safeguard our heritage, ensuring that future generations can learn from and appreciate our past. The true preservation of our history and culture happens at the local level through the dedication of associations, museums, historical and genealogical societies. So we urge you to spread the word about our podcast and to support your local society. Together we can ensure that our rich heritage is preserved for generations to come. And we thank you for your support. Now, in our upcoming installment of Preservation Oaks, we delve into the world of the Port Hope Area Historical Society, located in Port Hope, Michigan, right on Lake Huron. The society is nestled within the confines of an old lumberyard building. The museum is currently undergoing renovations. Amidst the hustle of construction, captivating exhibits still beckon visitors. A welcome center awaits where artifacts and videos chronicle historic moments from Port Hope's past. Outside, antique farm equipment stands sentinel, narrating the tale of resilience and prosperity amidst adversity. Not stopping there, volunteers have transformed the lumberyard's former office space into a charming meeting area. Here a slice of history awaits, with the Gladys and R.B. Hunter Genealogical Center archives inviting visitors to uncover familial ties to Port Hope, Huron County, and the Upper Thumb region. I'm really looking forward with anticipation to unraveling the mysteries of the Port Hope Area Historical Society and Museum. So join us for what promises to be an engaging and enlightening episode. All right, that being said, let's get this show snapping. Our historical April events for this episode. On April 23, 1908, the U.S. Congress created the Medical Reserve Corps, the official predecessor of the U.S. Army Reserve. On April 28, 1788, Maryland was admitted to the Union. On April 30, 1789, President George Washington was inaugurated. On April 30, 1803, Robert Livingston and James Monroe signed in behalf of the United States the Louisiana Purchase Treaty. On April 30, 1812, Louisiana became the 18th state to be admitted to the Union. Thank you to www.poplad.com for the historic events for this episode. Let's drink some tea, some Twinings tea. Good tea, and I love Twinings tea. All right, let's do a short biography of our guest. Heidi Chapman is a fifth-generation local and lover of history. Born and raised in the Frankenmuth area, she graduated from Delta College and then Saginaw Valley State University with a degree in history. Unsure of what she wanted to do with her degree, she took a job working at the Frankenmuth Historical Museum and loved it, as she's been employed there for the last 8 years. In her free time, she also enjoys raising chickens, gardening, trips to Disney World, and fixing up her farmhouse with her husband and 2 children. Okay, welcome to the program, Heidi.
Hi, Sean. Thanks for having me.
Hey, first of all, I can't tell you how excited I am to have you here, and I've been waiting for this episode and to talk with you. I hope you're aware how special Frankenmuth is among all the cities in the United States. It's truly a unique place. It's really clean, well-maintained. It has a unique and wholesome identity. It's like a special place where somebody can relax and downshift and turn off the rest of the world for as long as they're there. I really love Frankenmuth.
Thank you. I feel very blessed to be from here. We love it here.
What's your favorite aspect of Frankenmuth's German heritage and culture?
I'd have to say, so I'm going to use a German word here. It's called Gemütlichkeit, which basically means friendliness, welcoming. Frankenmuth prides itself on its Gemütlichkeit. You know, you walk downtown and nearly everybody at least smiles at you, if not says hello. Like you mentioned, it's really clean. Everybody pays attention to detail. You know, our main street is lined with flowers and flowering trees, and it's just beautiful. It's just beautiful.
It is totally unique. I just love it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What's your opinion on the preservation efforts in Frankenmuth to maintain its historical architecture and landmarks?
My opinion is positive. I mean, we work really hard on that. So the city has a historic preservation district committee. So, you know, it maps out the district, and it's mostly downtown with a little couple side streets, but it focuses on both existing and new buildings to complement the city's Bavarian heritage. So, you know, preservation and restoration are really encouraged, but construction is allowed, you know, when needed, but it has to follow the district standards. So, you know, certain paint colors, certain styles and looks, no bright LED signs. We try really hard to maintain that architecture look and keep it a really quaint town.
Yeah, I guess I didn't notice. I mean, I noticed that's part of its charm is it doesn't have all that. And I guess you don't,
Right.
It doesn't hit you right away that all of that is missing It just sort of is the ambiance of the place.
Sure.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
So that's by design.
It is.
That's
Yes.
very
And
cool.
they're a little on the stricter side, which can be tough when you're trying to do things such as, we've been thinking about things in the museum and it's been turned down, but gosh, you realize, it's really a blessing at the same time because that's the reason our town is so quaint and looks the way it does.
It's totally a blessing. It's like being
Yeah,
able to turn off the world for a little while.
absolutely.
Yeah, that's great.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Thanks for doing that, by the way.
Of course.
There's got to be somewhere in the world you can turn that stuff off.
Sure.
Are there any unique traditions or customs in Frankenmuth that outsiders might find interesting?
So, in Frankenmuth, we have a yearly pretzel making. I have family that does sausage making. We do the pickle ornament in the Christmas tree at Christmas. I know there's some families that still believe in the Pelsnickel, which is like the opposite of Santa Claus. It's the angry Santa that will come if you're naughty. My favorite one, though, is called Sleben Ho, and it's a wedding tradition. And from everything I've looked into, I'm pretty sure it's strictly a Frankenmuth thing. But at weddings, the bride and groom will sit on these chairs and the guests will say a poem, and then other wedding guests will come and lift up the chair, so up and down real high as the rest of the guests sing the words slave and hoe, and then there's a little couple words to it. And then after that, they get these bonnets put on them, and the bonnets have these little trinkets. So my husband and I, for example, had some beer caps, some Detroit Lions buttons, a fishing lure because we like to fish together. And then the two bonnets are strung together with a string, and then they have a pacifier on them to, I guess symbolize fertility. And then again, they're raised up in these chairs, and then at the end of the poem, they're taken to the bar to chug a beer, of course. And but the entire thing is basically so Saleb and Ho means to live high. So
Okay.
the couple starts out as bride and bridegroom and then ends as man and wife. And I mean, it looks really goofy to outsiders, I know that, but almost every single wedding we've been to in the area has it, and it's always just a ton of fun. A little scary to be raised up in a chair like that. That was not fun at my wedding, but but that's definitely one of my favorite traditions that is very unique to Frankenmuth, and we don't really know where it came from. I mean, they don't do it in Germany. I don't know. It just started here, and it's carried on ever since.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I've not
Yeah.
heard of that before. That's pretty cool.
Okay. Yeah.
Now, you said you make sausage.
Yeah.
Now, do you use a machine or do you use a bone?
We use a machine.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
When I
Yeah.
first started making sausage, I was with some Swedish people, and
Hmm.
their tradition was they used a bone that was carved out. The marrow was taken out of the middle,
Okay.
and it was about, oh, I want to say 6 inches long. And you would take the meat and stuff it through the bone and put the casing on the other end of the bone, and the sausage meat would go through the bone into the casing.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's dedication right there.
Yeah, that's dedication.
Yeah.
But it worked. It worked real good.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's the story behind Frankenmuth's Franconian colonies, and what tales from the past bring your area to life? When I first read about the Franconian colonies, which, by the way, is all over your website and
Hmm.
all over social media and so on about Frankenmuth, I started going, Franconian? Well, that's French. That has to be French. But no, it's not.
Yeah, I've heard that before. Yeah.
Tell us about that, please.
So Franconia is a region in Bavaria, which Frankenmuth, and then Frankenmuth has three other sister colonies, we call it. That's where they came from, was this area of Franconia. So Frankenmuth was first settled in 1845, and Muth in German means courage. So it was courage of the Franconians. So Frankenmuth, Frankentrost followed in 1847, so just 2 years, and Trost means comfort, so comfort of the Franconians. Frankenlust was a year later in 48, and that means need, so need of the Franconians. And then Frankenhilf, it was changed to Richville, followed 2 years later in 1850, and that's help of the Franconians. So all of them kind of have a little I guess, background to that. But all four, they're all about, I'd say, within 20 miles of each other. And they're all meant for a haven for German immigrants and really have stayed that way in a lot of aspects. All four started with a church and a school, and all four of those churches and schools still remain. Frankenmuth is the largest. It did grow, where the rest are really smaller areas. You drive through them and there's a gas station and each have homes, and then the churches and schools, of course. Yeah, and I mentioned Frankenhealth, that changed Richville. Well, that happened with the post office. I think they thought, my gosh, there's too many Frankens here. One of you has to change.
Yeah.
So that changed to Richville a little later. Myself, personally, I'm from Frankentrost, so it's just, a couple miles up the road from Frankenmuth, but it's definitely its own little history, though. Most people, are German and can speak the German language who live in those four little settlements.
So the settlements started in the 1840s?
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
Well, in about a 5-year time span, all four of them came over.
So the history of your city, Frankenmuth, and the Franken colonies right there, they started in the 1840s, right?
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay. And it was people from Bavaria in Germany that came over as immigrants?
That's right. Yeah.
Wow.
So Frankenmuth started originally as a mission colony. They had this idea that there also was a ton of issues going on in Germany, a lot of rules and forced military service they had to do. So it was also, a little bit of an economic reason too, but they came over originally they thought, they could start a mission colony to the indigenous people that live around here.
Okay.
And then when the other 3 Franken colonies followed, by that time, the mission kind of fell apart. So I think at that point, it was just groups saying, I'm looking for a place to live. I've heard Michigan is really nice. And we already know that there's a German town, aka Frankenmuth, not too far from here. Let's settle near that to kind of keep, the thought process was, if you settled by other German people, you would stay German in kind of your lifestyle.
Okay. Very cool. And what
sense.
kind of mission? Was it religious?
It was a religious, yeah. So Frankenmuth started, it was 15 people who came over, and they were German Lutheran. Again, they had this thought process. They'd start this mission colony to these indigenous people, but indigenous peoples at that time were, always moving around. So by the time they got here, there weren't really many left. So I think from our records, they had I think they did end up baptizing maybe 22 people, but then a couple of years later, that kind of fell apart. They could tell it wasn't really working. There's not many people around here, but you're already here. You're not going to go back home.
Right.
And by then, the settlement had grew pretty quickly. Only a year later, after Frankenmuth was settled, another group of about 100 people came over, and then things really started to expand. Frankenmuth is also the halfway point between Flint and Saginaw, which at the time were 2 growing cities compared to Frankenmuth. But as travelers would travel between the two, it was a day's trip from Flint to Frankenmuth and a day's trip from Frankenmuth to Saginaw.
Oh, yeah.
So
Okay.
you'd stay in Frankenmuth overnight. So that created a need for hotels, for restaurants, maybe a blacksmith if your horse threw a shoe or something like that. It also had a river that provided extra jobs such as logging, fishing, etc. So it grew quite quickly, within the first probably 20 years. And then by then, it was it's just here. It kind of grows naturally after that.
Yeah, it's organic after that.
Right.
Plus,
yeah.
you got everything you need right there. I mean, you've got the forest, you've got hunting, you've got fishing, you've got everything you need.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you needed something that you couldn't make, like I said, Saginaw or Flint was about a day's walk.
Right.
So you could go get it if you needed to.
Right. Plus, as you clear the forest, you pull the stumps, and now you've got farmland.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And I always like to share in our tours, the best way to take care of a stump was dynamite, which you could just go buy at any general store. It's a little different nowadays, obviously. And it took about 2 years to clear 1 acre. That's how densely forested this area was at the time.
Wow. 2
Yeah.
years.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Right. I know. Now you have several acres of fields. I mean, everywhere, it's just, and all those trees that had to go. It's crazy to think about.
Well, it's crazy to think about. You look out now and it's just a clear acreage, and those people work so hard to get that done.
Absolutely.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. Oh my,
Yeah.
we have no idea what our pioneer forefathers went through, you know?
That's for sure. Yeah,
Wow.
I know it's crazy to think about.
Now we're
Yeah.
almost 200 years from those days, you know,
We are.
when
Yeah.
people settled that place. What unique challenges or opportunities do you face in safeguarding your town's heritage?
I don't know how many challenges, but I'd say we definitely offer some opportunities in safeguarding and preserving the heritage. I mentioned some traditions, some like sausage making and pretzel making and things like that. We carry those down generation to generation. And if you're born into that family, that's easy to learn. But we always like to educate others of our heritage. So obviously, you have the museum and Bavarian Inn, one of the local restaurants offers pretzel making. But one of my favorite things is we host a Bavarian festival, which is the second weekend in June. And I think it's been going on I think this year is the 65th year, so quite a while. And they host Bavarian Olympics, polka dancing, there's beer, of course, maypole dancers. We have a Bavarian princess that gets crowned that weekend, tons of food. And everybody shows up in a dirndl and lederhosen. And if you don't, everybody's like, where's your stuff? Where's your gear?
Yeah.
But it's just a great time. And we really encourage people who aren't necessarily from Frankenmuth come out and learn a polka dance or learn a song in German or at least have a brat or something like that. It's kind of kitschy, but it's one of the best weekends in Frankenmuth. It's just a ton of fun.
Very cool. Very cool.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds like so much fun. How long does it go on for the festival? One
Let's see.
day
I
or?
think no, it's a long weekend. So I think it's Thursday to Sunday. So it starts off with the crowning the Bavarian princess. And then Friday is a block party. They shut down Main Street and people can just kind of wander. And there's bounce houses and stuff to do for kids. And then Saturday is, dancing and just a ton of fun. And then Sunday ends with a parade down Main Street.
Nice. I suppose
Yeah.
your season, if we can call it that, starts sometime in May and then probably goes through September, October. Well,
No, it
you'd have
actually goes longer than
Oktoberfest
that.
or something, right?
We do, yeah. So our busy season starts about Labor Day, or I'm sorry, Memorial Day, maybe even a weekend before. And that actually goes all the way through to probably the end of January.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because we have festivals all throughout the summer, through the fall, and then it's Christmas time. And just Google Christmas in Frankenmuth, and you'll find tons. I mean, we're the home of the world's largest Christmas store.
Oh, wow.
So there's people constantly, during the months of November and December. And then even in January, we have a snow fest, which is like a snow carving festival.
Oh, that's
Um,
nice.
yeah, yeah. So we really our downtime is only a couple months, which we're really thankful for. I don't want it to any longer. But about another month and a half here, we'll ramp right up.
And then all through that time, you have tourists coming in, right? Visitors.
We do.
And
Yeah. That's
does
most of
the
our traffic.
Frankenmuth Historical Association have have a lot of those visitors coming through the museum?
We do. Yeah, we are located in the absolute heart of downtown. We have a wonderful location. We're right next to the Chamber of Commerce, just right in the center of everything. So a lot of our traffic is just people walking by and want to come in and check it out. We get maybe 60,000 people come through our doors a year.
Wow. That is
Hmm.
great. That is
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
Wow. I can't imagine that. That is fantastic. Wow.
Yeah,
Good on
yeah.
you. All right. Yeah, that is wonderful.
Hmm.
Now, what's the story of your museum? What's the roots of your museum?
Sure. So really, we were incorporated in 1963, but it was about a year earlier in 62 when a group of about 20 people met in our local high school. They wanted to start uncovering, preserving Frankenmuth history is the quote we always use. But so they started off, how are we going to collect this and how are we going to do that? Who's going to do this? A year later, we officially started, and we started out really small. We kept artifacts in people's basements and held exhibits in the school gyms and extra, any unused classrooms. And then about 10 years later, we purchased the Commercial House Hotel, which is our current home for our museum. So our building was previously a hotel. and we've been here ever since. We've added on, and remodeled a couple times. So our current museum, could be here.
Fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Heidi, I'd like to provide listeners with the contact information for the association and museum.
We have a website, frankmuthmuseum.org. We also have a Facebook page at Frankenmuth Historical Museum, and then our gift shop has a Facebook page called the Muth Trading Post.
Fantastic. And then you can email them at fhadirector1963@gmail.com. And you can phone them at 989-652-9701. And you can visit them at 613 South Main Street, Frankenmuth, Michigan, 48734. Now, Heidi, can you kindly share with the audience the demographic makeup of your membership and the mission and objectives of your association?
Sure. So our membership right now is probably, I'd say, 60 and above. And they either live in Frankenmuth or they have direct ties to town. Maybe they moved away or something like that. And then as far as our mission is to preserve, communicate, and celebrate the heritage of the Franconian communities. So there's that word again, and to promote a greater appreciation for history to residents of and visitors to Frankenmuth.
Okay. Do you guys still have ties back to Germany?
We know people who, have family there, then we'll go visit them or something like that. We do have a sister city. Gunzenhausen is Frankenmuth's sister city, and there's a really positive relationship there. I think every 5 years one of them comes back. They go back and forth. In fact, they were just here, a 2 weeks ago maybe, and came to the museum and visited, and we gave them a tour and
Nice.
actually did an oral history interview with them.
I was interviewing a Danish museum in Iowa, and they actually have a similar kind of town in that they have lots of Danish shops and so on. They actually have a Danish counselor in town. So some part of the Danish government, I think they called it a counselor or consulate or something like that, right in town.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Huh.
I wasn't sure if that was going on with you guys.
No, we're not that dedicated.
Well, what's your background? How did you come to do what you do now? I know you said you grew up in Frankentroth.
Frankentroth.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, I grew up there. I actually, both on my mom's side and my dad's side, the original settlers came over on the ship to settle Frankentroth. So I'm pretty proud of the history and have had pretty strong ties. I've always loved history. That's something my dad and I kind of shared that love of history. We'd go on family vacations. We were the ones that, let's pull over and read that historical marker. And, my brothers and mom would be grumbling because they weren't as into it. But yeah, graduated high school, went to college. I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do, but I knew I loved history. So I'll start there. You can do a lot with a history degree, find a job along the way. And then I think my senior year of college, I had a family friend told my mom that the museum was hiring and signed up for an interview. I got hired on the spot, and which was amazing to me because, we don't have a lot of museums in our area. So, and to find a museum in your hometown, get a job there, I felt so blessed. And that was 8 years ago when I got hired. I started part-time as a membership and events coordinator, and then got promoted to full-time, and then exhibits got added to my plate. And then a couple of years later, the director job opened up, and applied and got it. And that's been about 5.5 years since I've taken it, and it's been a lot of fun. It's been interesting.
Boy, you did good. That's great.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love it. Hometown. That's just fantastic story.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah. It's fun to look through the artifacts and collections. And I mean, some of the stuff's from my family, which is really cool, or, extended family. So it's my history too, which makes me all the more passionate about it.
Plus, it's wonderful that you're right there in your hometown, right on Main Street. If it's called Main Street, I don't know.
It is called Main Street. Yeah.
There you go. Right on Main Street. So what's coming up on the horizon for the museum? Are there any upcoming exhibitions or events that the community should look forward to?
Sure. So we actually, for about the last year and a half, have been in the middle of this exhibit renovation. So the timeline of our museum, it starts in 1845 when you first walk into the first gallery, and, obviously that's when Frankenmuth started. And then you kind of weave through, and it's a timeline of the story of Frankenmuth. But the last time our galleries were renovated was 1995. So that's when our timeline stopped. And gosh, there's been a lot that's happened since then. So we are updating those. And they should actually be done probably in another month and a half, so mid-May. So it's exciting. It's big news in itself. That's very exciting. And we're having a grand opening on June 26th, kind of an after hours type of thing. Come in and just get a snack and walk through and enjoy everything. When that's done, everybody kind of agreed we're going to sit and just breathe for a minute, because this has been a huge project and tons of fundraising and design meetings and, oh my gosh, what color flooring should we have and little things like that. But, then later in the fall, we're going to be focused. We're having a volunteer drive, bump up volunteers. We want to start a docent program, things like that.
Lots.
So there's always something going on.
Wow. Lots of stuff going on. All right.
Yeah, always.
And how have you done with your drives, with your volunteer drive and so on? I know probably with all of the excitement going on, a lot of people want to be part of that.
Yeah. We've had a couple of people reach out, and we haven't been, we've just been taking their numbers and their information. We haven't been using them unless they want, we have some people who want to work in the office with collections. Then we'll take them because we can always use help there. But as far as the docent program, we want to get everything finished first before we start that.
Yeah.
We just, want to make sure all of our ducks are in a row first. But, like most museums, when COVID hit, that knocked a lot of our volunteers out.
Right.
Obviously, they couldn't come for a couple months. And then a lot of them didn't come back. They didn't feel comfortable or just more, thought, it's time for me to retire, something like that. So we've kind of really been starting from the ground up with that.
Yeah, a lot of places are, just trying to restart, everything after COVID.
Yeah.
It was a crazy time.
It sure was.
So what are some of the most memorable moments or experiences visitors have shared with you after visiting the museum?
So I don't get to do guided tours very often now that I'm director, but every once in a while I do have them. And the most memorable ones, I've had a few people, I think only 3 people, but they weren't from Frankenmuth. They've never been to Frankenmuth, but they realized they had relatives here without even realizing it, or without even knowing it, I should say. That was really cool. You'd say a last name, and they get this look on their face, and then ask a little more questions, and sooner or later, that's their, 6th great grandfather or something like that. That's always cool, having people, helping them learn their history. For example, on the ship that the original 15 settlers came on, each family was allowed 1 trunk. So I always say, what would you bring with you on the ship? And a lot of people are like, oh, my Xbox or, whatever. You can't bring that. You're limited to 1 trunk. That's a really big deal.
Yeah.
Or for some of our education programs, we'd show them a tub, and this is your bathtub, and your family has to share all the water. And, you always hear these oohs and ahs from kids, or that's cool, or I don't know. It makes you feel like you've gotten them interested in history. And to me, that's a win when people think history is cool, because there's a lot of people that don't. And gosh, I wish they'd give it a chance.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's a good feeling to see when kids' eyes light up and you see that you've actually gotten through.
Yes, absolutely.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Heidi, the music in the background means that it's time for a break for a few minutes.
Okay.
All right, listeners, we'll be right back after these important messages.
Welcome to a journey through time with the Frankenmuth Historical Association and Museum, where the past comes alive and memories are preserved for generations to come. In the heart of Frankenmuth, nestled among the quaint streets and historic landmarks, lies a treasure trove of stories waiting to be discovered. The Frankenmuth Historical Association and Museum is dedicated to unraveling the rich tapestry of our past and sharing it with the world. From the first settlers who carved their homes from the wilderness to the bustling community that thrives today, every step of their journey is etched in the annals of history. But preserving these stories requires more than just passion, it requires your support. By donating to the Frankenmuth Historical Association, you become a guardian of your heritage. Your generosity fuels efforts to collect, preserve, and showcase artifacts, photographs, and documents that weave together the fabric of the past. Whether it's a contribution to the Preservation Fund, sponsoring an educational program, or volunteering your time, every act of kindness brings them closer to a shared goal. To ensure that the legacy of Frankenmuth lives on for future generations. Join in celebrating the history, preserving the heritage, and shaping the future. Together, we can keep the spirit of Frankenmuth alive for all to cherish. Visit the website at frankenmuthmuseum.org to learn more about how you can make a difference. The Frankenmuth Historical Association, where the past meets the present, and the future is brighter because of you.
This is Melody Lager, president of the Heartland Museum, and I love listening to Preservation Oaks on Microstream Radio.
This is Catherine Seiner, the executive director of the Oswego Heritage Council, and I love listening to Sean Radcliff on Microstream Radio.
This is Janice Sellers, the president of the Jewish Genealogical Society of Oregon, and I enjoyed being a guest on Preservation Oaks with Sean Radcliff.
This is James Burns, neurodiverse freelance curator, and you're listening to Preservation Oaks.
9 out of 10 listeners agree. Preservation Oaks is the best podcast on the internet.
You can comment anytime about the show or send suggestions by emailing preservationoaks@gmail.com. Thank you.
How much excitement can you fit into a program? Preservation Oaks is full of possibilities, and with plenty of value and unique information. You can feel good about supporting your favorite society. Preservation Oaks has a wide range of guests, so pack your mind with your history. Thank you for listening to Preservation Oaks.
This is Kirk Dillon, a friend of Sean Radcliffe's. Preservation Oaks brings you unbeatable information about museums, cultural, heritage, historical, and genealogical societies across the United States. It is a most enjoyable program that enables the public to look under the covers, as it were, and to feel completely comfortable with their decision to donate, join, volunteer with and support their organization of choice. I strongly encourage you all to give 3 cheers to the unsung heroes that are our nation's Preservation Oaks, for the hard work they do at your local society. It's very important work that really must be done properly, with everyone in the community helping as much as possible. Please follow, like, and listen to each episode of Preservation Oaks, but much more importantly, do please join, donate, and volunteer at one or more of your local societies. Thank you very much.
This is Catherine McGuire. I'm a friend of Sean Thomas's. We often discuss how difficult it is for some societies to complete research requests. Regardless of where you're from, or which historical or genealogical society you're working with on family research, proper etiquette is important. You don't want to appear to have been raised by wolves. It's a good idea to know some essential skills when working with these valuable societies. Using proper etiquette will help you support the organization performing the sometimes grueling work to find information for you. Here's a few essential skills for you to know. Number 1, if you're communicating with a historical or genealogical society, and asking for their help in finding information about family members. Pay close attention to their policies and take cues from them. Number 2, many genealogical and historical societies do not have all their paper and photographic records digitized and online. Therefore, things are not fast and easy for them, unless they get lucky. Many times, the society relies on the skill and knowledge of volunteers. They often comb through filing cabinets, books, directories and newspapers to find information you're seeking and information that will be valuable to you. This can take hours, days, and sometimes weeks, depending on what you're requesting. Be aware of this effort. It is often invisible to you but quite real. Number 3, regardless of the official policies, which are generally very low cost. Whenever you make a request to a society, please donate liberally to help cover the cost of the time it takes to complete the research, make copies, mail information to you, and so on. Number 4, if the society finds information that helps you, and from that, you know your family lived in the area, then good etiquette is to join and become a member, and then to donate regularly. As a member, you often receive discounts both on the books you may need, as well as additional research from the Society. If you live in the area, it's a good idea to volunteer. That way, you can get to know the records and the history of the area. Having this knowledge will greatly improve the outcomes of your research. Number 5, whether the research is fruitful or not, always send a thank you note or card in the mail, and don't wait more than a day or two after research concludes. Address the Society, and thank them for the work they did and the information they sent, or just for trying hard to find something of value for you. Then add another short, positive comment to show your appreciation. Your note may be brief but heartfelt. It's easy to have good manners. These basic rules are just common sense. Ta-ta for now, my friends.
And now, back to Preservation Oaks.
Welcome back to Preservation Oaks. I'm your host, Sean Thomas Radcliff, and we're here today with Ms. Heidi Chapman from the Frankenmuth Historical Association and Museum located in Frankenmuth, Michigan. Let's pick up where we left off, and welcome back, Heidi.
Thanks, Sean.
Heidi, what kinds of exhibits are on display?
So we offer an 11-gallery museum that focuses on the history of Frankenmuth, Michigan, which, like I mentioned earlier, spans from 1845 to present day. And all these exhibits feature hands-on activities, maybe a little bit of tech that makes it, a little bit relatable for the kids, and original artifacts from a lot of Frankenmuth's history. We also do have a temporary gallery that switches out about every quarter. This one is fun because we can choose subjects that have either everything to do with Frankenmuth or absolutely nothing to do with Frankenmuth, kind of just depending on our mood. So we featured exhibits on, Frankenmuth schools, Frankenmuth festivals, but then also like Abraham Lincoln, the Detroit Tigers, Laura Ingalls, or the Edmund Fitzgerald.
Wow. A lot of good stuff.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. With the Laura Ingalls one, we actually had Dean Butler. He played El Manzo in the Little House on the Prairie series.
Okay.
He came out here and checked out the exhibit and did a little lecture on his time on the show. It was really cool.
Very cool. Now you guys also have an exhibit with a log house, right?
We do. Yeah, we do own a log house just south of town, and it was kind of discovered by accident in the 70s and was donated to the museum, and we dismantled it and then moved it and reassembled it kind of where it is now, and we use it for education programs, and people use it for photo ops because it's a beautiful site. But yeah,
I never knew so much restoration work went into maintaining and preserving a log home as when I started this journey going across the country and speaking with directors of historical societies. When they had to actually preserve these things, you have to use the right chinking and you have to use the right kind of preservation material to preserve the logs and all of this stuff. It's just amazing.
It is. Yeah. Last summer we had a lawnmower through a rock through our window at the log house. And I can't tell you how many places I called to look for the right, the wavy glass.
Yeah.
Because you couldn't just throw in any old glass you wanted to. And it's a challenge, but it's also kind of fun because it's like a scavenger hunt. That's the way I look at it, at least, but it's fun. It's cool.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's pretty well preserved, or you have challenges there?
So I always like to say we have a log house. It's not a log cabin because we have a second floor in our log house that you can stand all the way up, where log cabins are only a loft.
Oh yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, big difference. And nobody else thinks it is, but I think it is. So you go upstairs, and maybe sometimes there's a bat flying by your head or, there's mouse poop everywhere. So there's definitely things that are constantly ongoing, or bugs that, the boar beetles that, like to live in the wood.
Yeah.
There's definitely things that are ongoing in that factor. But, as far as the structure itself and the integrity, it's held up really well. It was actually covered up for several years just by siding. And when the owner was going to remodel, he put new siding on it. He wanted a different color, and he put new siding on it. And he pulled it off and realized he had a log. It was a log building. He had no idea. So that really saved a lot of it throughout the years, and that preserved it quite well.
Well, he didn't even know he had a log or a log house until he went to re-side it.
Yeah, he had no idea, and then it ended up being the only one left in the township, and I think one of 4 left in the entire county.
Oh my goodness!
It was the big deal. Yeah.
Oh man, and you preserved it. That's fantastic.
And we preserve it, and we use it quite often. It's a wonderful space to hold, class field trips and things like that. It's really cool.
Oh, that's great. Mm-hmm. Now, do you have any collections exhibited anywhere else in the county?
We do. We have a small amount of artifacts that are featured at the Michigan Heroes Museum, which is also located in Frankenmuth. And their museum remembers and honors Michigan citizens' personal contributions to the nation's military and space program. So they feature a lot of memorabilia from people who served in the service.
Okay, that's very cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a really cool museum.
Can you discuss any recent conservation efforts or restoration projects related to the museum's exhibits?
That's a never-ending project. So we actually just undertook, probably last summer, this huge reorganization project. We really needed to create more space in our storage areas. So we got some new shelving. We're storing things a little differently, and actually cleaned out a room to be able to use it. So we were able to gain some really serious ground with this. But next step will be digitization of our collection and our archives. And then, with the hope we can again gain some more space for artifacts, because that's always a thought in the back of my head that, we're going to run out soon.
Okay, very cool. Yeah, that's always got to be on your mind.
Yeah.
Heidi, if your building were to catch fire, what things would you grab on your way out?
That's a hard question, because, I wouldn't want to lose anything. But my first thought, though, if I had the time, of course, I'd grab the keys and I'd head downstairs to our first gallery. That is the gallery that holds our oldest artifacts. So we have the ship manifest to the original 15 settlers that came over.
You do?
Yeah, we have a family Bible. We have glasses, a lock of hair, a passport. The items that are from the absolute start of Frankenmuth, that's probably what I'd have to grab, just because, everything's irreplaceable. Everything is irreplaceable, but those items, those are kind of the special ones that I think I'd have to grab.
I guess. Oh my God. The ship manifest. Oh my gosh. That is just amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, that gives me chills. That's just fantastic.
Yeah, it's really neat.
Now, what kind of funding model supports the association and museum? What are your funding goals for 2024?
So we have a few avenues of funding. So we write grants, through state and then also local grants and foundations. We have an endowment, 2 of them actually, through 2 local community foundations. We have a county millage. So, every household in the county pays taxes, each year, obviously. And a portion of that will go to we're actually one of 5 county museums who benefit from the Saginaw County millage. We also fundraise pretty heavily. I mean, then that can include anything, from small scale events like a pancake breakfast, or to large fundraisers. We have an annual auction every November that nets us quite a bit of income that we just could not do without. We do receive a lot of donations, then that could again include one-time donations, or we could also be named as a benefactor in a will. That has happened before. And then we also own and operate a rental venue that used to be an old opera house called Fisher Hall. And we offer that for rentals, and, people will pay for that, obviously. And then last but not least, we do also have a gift shop, like I had mentioned earlier, and then also charge for museum admission. It's $5 per person and $1 for students. So not a lot, or, we're pretty cheap on the cheap end for that, for as far as experiences and guests go. But that's about the extent of it. So there's a lot of moving parts in that aspect.
Heidi, what types of fundraising activities or opportunities does your association offer?
So we do offer a membership. Our categories are student, individual, family, lifetime, and then we also have a business membership.
Okay.
And benefits of joining, include obviously, free admission to our museum. You will get discounts on a Fisher Hall rental. If you do, you get a newsletter. If you do any genealogical research, you can get help. We are more than welcome to help you with that. We do have some member-only events a couple times a year, which are always very popular with our members. And we always say, and it makes you feel warm and fuzzy inside that you supported us too. That's always an important piece to mention.
Oh yeah, and I see a chart on your website that has student, individual, family, lifetime, and so on, in all of the various categories. It says that there's discounts on educational classes and workshops as well.
Right.
I assume you do presentations and have speakers come in, that kind of thing.
We do have that. Those are usually free, though, for anybody who wants to just, we welcome to the public.
Okay.
Those educational classes, we might offer, we do offer, I should say, like make and take events. During the Christmas month, we offer a candle making class.
Oh, okay.
Where you can just come in, you make a candle, and, you come back, and you have to come back and get it when it's dried. But, so you'll get a discount on that class if you are a member. Or if you happen to be a teacher and you want to book some of your students, you will get a discount on that class too if you're a member, things like that.
You're doing such great work in the community.
Well, thank you.
Wow. I mean, really, wow. And then you have a November auction?
We do. Yeah, that is our big event, our only large fundraising event of the year. And that involves a silent auction, a live auction. We have games, raffles, a 4-station buffet. I'm sure I'm missing something. It's a really big event. And I think actually this year is our 40th year holding it. And it's one of Frankenmuth's kind of premier events. I mean, we have people who have been coming to the auction. I have one woman, I think she's in her 40s, and she said she's been coming almost every year since she was a little girl. And it's just something people look forward to. And I mean, we get donations. I mean, we've had a car as a donation before. Somebody donated a car, auctioned off, and we get donations of trips. And I mean, so it can be as little but also equally as important as a gift basket or something huge. And a lot of the donations to our experiences, we've had a sausage making party donated to us before.
Oh, that's cool.
Or or just a cruise on somebody's pontoon, and and while you're cruising on the pontoon, you'll be serenaded with some music from an accordion player that's also on the boat, and then you'll get a dinner served to you on the boat, and stuff like that. It's really special stuff, and a lot of it's donated not only from businesses but also from individuals too. We are very, very blessed with a strong support system in our town.
Wow, that is really cool. I thought it was maybe historical artifacts or something, but it's not.
Oh, no. Nope, all new stuff.
Wow,
So
that is really cool.
it's a great event. We work on it for probably 2 months beforehand. It takes a lot of work, but oh my gosh, it's worth it.
Does it go over multiple days?
No, it's only one night.
One night. Wow.
Yep, it's always the first Friday of November, and from like 5 to 10. By 10 p.m. it's over with, and all staff is ready to go to the bar and just celebrate because it went well. But it's all within just a couple hours.
That is cool. Are you televising it, or is it live on YouTube or any of that?
No, but gosh, maybe we should start. That's a good idea.
Yeah. Holy cow, people would eat that up. That's good.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Fantastic. Wow, that sounds like a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what kind of outreach and education does the museum undertake within the community?
So we're always doing events. During the winter months, we host like a lecture series. We have a lecture come every month. I mentioned we have like a make and take, the candle making, make and take events.
Yeah.
We will hold movie nights, open houses. We'll do barbecues out by our log house, stuff like that. We try to do something at least every month just to kind of stay relevant and keep our name in people's minds.
Yeah, I mean, you've got 9 months out of the year where you've got, I don't know how many visitors Frankenmuth gets per year, but you've got 9 months out of the year where the town and everyone in the town is hosting visitors throughout the town.
Yeah. Yep.
So you're busy all the time for 9 months out of the year.
We are. Yeah. Yeah. And a lot of our events, will be will be attended by locals, like the open houses or the barbecues. That's a little more centralized to locals, where the make and take and the movie nights, things that are easily accessible for visitors who maybe, they don't know they can just walk in to our open house or our barbecue. I mean, they're welcome to, but it's interesting, the demographic of who shows up to what, but it's different every time. So, but
yeah, that would be interesting. You'd meet so many people from around the country.
We really do. Yeah. We used to host, before COVID, we had hosted trivia nights, and it started out being, primarily attended by locals, but towards the end of it, when we had to stop, I think most of the attendees were not from Frankenmuth, which was really neat. Yeah.
Yeah, because you'd probably, I mean, since it's a tourist area, you probably have, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you probably have a lot of people that rent cabins or what do they call those? Rental areas,
Oh, those like Airbnbs?
Yeah, like Airbnbs or things like that, where people come in and, they stay for a week for their vacation or whatever.
And, we do have a lot of that.
People want to find something to do,
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. So we do advertise very heavily, on Facebook, and then our chamber is wonderful at, kind of advertising what events we have and handing out brochures and things like that. So but at the same time, it's also easy advertising because of our location, we're very, people walk by and just walk in. So that's really nice too.
Very nice. Mm-hmm. Now, what kind of work does the museum do with school children?
We offer field trips. I mean, so that might look like a guided tour in our museum. We also offer programs out at the log house, which might include candle making, tin punch, butter making. We do, historic games, dancing, things like that. Like one local school, their third grade comes every year. And that's just, you can expect them. That class comes every year, and it's, maybe 100 students or so. And then we've gotten other schools from as far as Detroit. We've had one come from Pennsylvania. They've come, I think, the last 3 years, and they're here in Michigan. I don't know what they're doing, probably on some class trip, but they come to our museum, and it's really cool to see that.
That is very cool.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned that you publish a newsletter. Is it for members only? How often is it published? What's it called? Can anybody get it?
Yeah, well, we do mail it to only members. However, you can find it on our website if you really wanted to. It is available to the public, and we publish it quarterly. So it doesn't have a snazzy name. Maybe we should get it one, but it's probably 4 pages of just, of every office staff member that kind of write a report. Here's what's new in the collections world. Here's what's new in our exhibits, and here's what's new in this in this department, and just kind of saying what's new with the museum.
Okay. I see you have your own podcast. I've heard a couple episodes. It's really pretty good. Do you want to talk to listeners about where they can find it?
Sure. So we have a podcast called Historians in Lederhosen, and it's 2 of our staff members and then a volunteer who they discuss anything with Michigan history, world history, Frankenmuth history, but then also just museums, kind of bringing awareness to museums, telling people stories about museums. I think like our most recent episode is We're Not Goodwill, which states that you can't just, because we have people who want to donate items and they'll just leave it at the back door and not sign any paperwork or anything. That's a big no-no in the museum world. So, it explains the legalities of donating items, and, it kind of reaches people who might not know the ins and outs of museums.
Yeah, I've heard that before from a couple of societies that I've had the pleasure to have as guests.
Oh, really?
That people just leave things without a note, without anything. Just they'll show up at the, to come to work, and they've got something laying at their door.
Oh my gosh, yes.
And luckily it's not a baby.
Right, yeah. Yeah, we actually had to put a sign up at our back door of like, if you leave it, it's gonna get thrown away because, you know, we need your signature because it's a legal issue, really. But yeah, no, you can find I think we're just over 30 episodes. You can find it on Spotify, Apple Podcast, or Anchor.
And it's called Historians in Lederhosen.
Historians in Lederhosen, that is it.
And Lederhosen is a piece of clothing.
Right, it's like the green German pants that it has suspenders. If you saw a picture of it, you'd know exactly what I'm talking about. But yeah.
Very cool. No, it's really a pretty nice podcast, guys. I hope everybody goes and listens to it. Now, you also have a technology-driven walking tour all across town and available on your website, which, by the way, is really excellent. What can you tell us about that?
Sure. Yeah. Well, thank you for the compliment. That was my baby a couple years ago. It started right after COVID. So things are opening up. And, you know, it was that time when people were still really nervous about things. You know, you didn't really want to go in anywhere, and, you know, you had to wear masks and things. And once I was outside one day painting a planter, and I heard somebody walk by and they said they were nervous to go in a stuffy museum. And first I was like, we're not stuffy. Like I kind of took offense to that. But then it kind of brought the question in my mind of how can I bring the museum out? You know, if you don't want to come inside, fine, we'll bring it to you. And the walking tour was born, you know. So we chose 14 locations based on their history and their current status. You know, so if it was a business or a building who had great history, but it was closed, or, you know, I knew the renter would be moving out, we maybe didn't consider that. We took that one off the list because you wanted it to stay relevant. And it's like a 2-minute video. You take your phone and scan a QR code on the sign, and you can watch a 2-minute video of the history of that location. So it will go from our oldest known photo of that location, and then, you know, go through the history of a couple of photos every couple decades, and then of course there's a narrator saying the history of you know, how everything grew, and then to how it is today. So it's really a really cool way to kind of communicate history if you know, you're not able to stop in the museum, or if we're closed or something like that. And just in case you're ever unable to travel to Frankenmuth, we do have it available on our website too, if you would want to watch it.
Fantastic. Way to use technology. That's great.
Yeah.
Yep. And people can do that. All those visitors, all those tourists can come in and scan and just have fun.
Absolutely. And do the challenge, and you know, I think there's one location where you might want to drive. It's about a mile away, and it's our church. But all the rest of them are walking distance, and they're outside. You know, the businesses don't have to be open. You can do it at 2 a.m. if you wanted to. You might get stopped by the police, but you you know, you could do it anytime you wanted, and it's completely accessible to anyone who has a phone.
Yep. That's what the internet's all about. All right.
That's right.
Now, what kind of scholarships does the association sponsor?
We do offer a scholarship that we give funds to any local Frankenmuth high school student who is pursuing further education in either, you know, a history field, a humanities field, or, you know, related arts. And we've offered that since 2021. I think we've offered it. So, and it's been cool because a lot of time this summer we have a student who she was awarded a scholarship, I think our first one, and she's coming back this summer as a paid intern because she knows that we offer that because she got our scholarship. So kind of cool.
That's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I'm sorry to interrupt, Heidi, but it's time for us to take a break for a few minutes.
All right. We'll see you soon.
All right, listeners, we'll be right back.
Welcome to Frankenmuth, Michigan, a town like no other, where Bavarian charm meets American hospitality. Nestled along the banks of the Cass River, Frankenmuth is a place where time slows down and memories are made to last a lifetime. But what makes Frankenmuth truly special isn't just its picturesque scenery or world-famous chicken dinners. It's the rich tapestry of history woven into every cobblestone street and timber-framed building. And at the heart of preserving this legacy is the Frankenmuth Historical Association and Museum, a beacon of heritage, a keeper of stories, and a guardian of the town's unique identity. But they can't do it alone. They need your help to ensure that the spirit of Frankenmuth continues to thrive for generations to come. Here's how you can make a difference. Donate to support their preservation efforts, volunteer your time to help catalog artifacts and share history with visitors, join as a member to receive exclusive benefits and updates, and mark your calendar for their exciting events. Because preserving Frankenmuth's past isn't just important, it's essential. It's about honoring those who came before, celebrating a unique heritage, and inspiring future generations to carry the torch forward. So, whether you're a proud resident or a curious traveler, join them in keeping the legacy of Frankenmuth alive and thriving. Outside and alive. Visit frankenmuthmuseum.org today to learn more about how you can get involved. The Frankenmuth Historical Association and Museum, where every donation, every volunteer hour, and every membership pledge helps write the next chapter of this wonderful town's remarkable story.
You're tuned in to Preservation Oaks. Stream us from wherever you get your podcast. We're with you anywhere you go.
Sometimes the most commonplace artifact triggers the most heartfelt memories. The museums, cultural and heritage institutions, historical and genealogical societies within our communities have responsibility for preserving these artifacts so they can be used to educate each new generation about their own past. They are the gatherers and caretakers of the stories of our history, culture, and heritage. Sharing the lessons of history fosters an understanding of the fundamental knowledge of why things work the way they do. Once armed with a knowledge of their place in history, people have a much higher success rate as they build the future. Our values and ideals are rightly influenced by those who came before us. On each episode of Preservation Oaks, our guests share key information about these core organizations and history. You'll learn about the great work they do, what their needs are, their goals, and why you can feel really confident about the future by volunteering and supporting them. Join us wherever you get your podcasts, and then follow, comment, like, and listen.
I want to tell you about the wonderful, dedicated volunteers at your local museum, historical, genealogical, cultural, or preservation society who, in spite of the daily grind, are doing so much. They help maintain the grounds, the gardens, then the records, the exhibits, the lectures, the school trips, the historic reenactments, and the events. The volunteers at your local society make all the difference in the world in collecting, saving, preserving, and sharing your local treasures and the stories about them. Volunteers from all walks of life and with all manner of expertise come together to help by being docents and creating exhibits to showcase your history. Volunteers research and document how your area grew through the years, how the streets were named, and how people of all orientations and backgrounds managed to create a cohesive community. Volunteers identify and maintain the architectural grandeur in your area, and how to just have fun here. And now they're working hard in the 21st century to attract and inform a new generation through the use of technology, social media, and websites. Why do volunteers keep working so hard for these goals? The answer: they've learned the tried and true lesson that telling the true stories of our past about local people helps us understand our place in our community and to not repeat past mistakes. Stories from the past teach us, stories about the present support us, and stories about the future inspire us. We reveal these stories by talking to each other, with our members, our visitors, our neighbors, and people walking down the street. We work together to find the stories, document our past, and share. Exhibits are made from these stories, recordings are made of these stories, research is enhanced by these stories. As a volunteer, you get to greet new and familiar visitors, share time with other interesting and fun volunteers, learn about, collect, and help to convey interesting true stories. Why? Because this work makes a better community and helps to shape our future. Please consider volunteering today as a way to help yourself, your family, and the community. You'll be glad you did.
And now, back to Preservation Oaks.
Welcome back to Preservation Oaks. We're here today with Ms. Heidi Chapman, the director of the Frankenmuth Historical Association and Museum located in Frankenmuth, Michigan. Heidi, we've learned a lot. This is great. I want to thank you for the information you provided to our audience about your association. Welcome back.
Thanks, Sean. Thanks so much for having me.
There's 3 murals outside the museum. What are they and what do they mean?
So those were done by a local artist. His name is Stephen Hargash in the mid-90s, and the scenes tell the early years of Frankenmuth. So the first panel has some paintings of the few key players in the settlement of the area. It also tells Frankenmuth the relationship with the local indigenous peoples of the area. And then the second explains the buildup of the town. So you'll see, the expansion of the church, some businesses being built, things like that. And then the third shows some murals of businesses who were and are still really important to Frankenmuth. So one of the buildings is Bavarian Inn, what it used to look like. Another one is Zender's, which are 2 really famous restaurants here in Frankenmuth. There's also Star of the West, which is a milling company. There's St. John's Church, which is another popular church. But they kind of give a little tease of, this is what we have here, but come in and find out more.
Okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense because it's actually quite beautiful. And then it's right in front of it is sort of a brick-lined park area.
Yeah. We have an herb garden. We share that space with a local herb society. So they will come and take care of it for us and make it beautiful during the summer months. And then they also have signs so they can educate people about different herbs and plants and things like that.
Oh, that's cool. So if you're ever cooking in the museum, you can grab some herbs real quick and
they might yell at me, but yeah. Ideally, yeah.
So what kinds of records or historical artifacts has the museum recently received as donations from the public?
Photographs those are always a popular and a pretty common donation. We have had, you can always kind of tell when somebody passes away, you always think, okay, I know that they're part of this family. We'll see them in a couple months. And sure enough, a couple months later, their kids or siblings will walk in with a donation. We have received a Bavarian princess dress. I mentioned that's part of Bavarian Festival, and that's been going on for 65 years. So we've had quite a few Bavarian princesses come in and donate the dress and their sash and their crown. We just received a 16 millimeter camera that was from 1926. An autograph book from 1910.
Whoa.
Yeah, and it gets better. A marriage certificate from 1899. That was another one. And then we have a local woolen mill who donated a sock making machine that actually made socks for soldiers overseas during World War I.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. It's really heavy, but it's really neat. And it's actually on display in our galleries downstairs because it was really cool. We thought we had to include it.
I look back at World War I and I just did a episode on World War I 2 episodes ago, and it's hard to realize that back then they didn't have a radio yet. Mm-hmm. And, it was right before the great influenza that came and killed so many people right after World War I. And, it was just like COVID, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
An amazing time. But they had a machine that made socks.
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah. Because they were contracted by the government to make socks, and it would send them over to France, wool socks for the soldiers, and that's the machine, which is really cool.
Wow, and you have that on display.
We sure do.
I'll be darned. Wow. Is it functional?
I don't know. I guess I'll have to. I'm not supposed to, but I might have to mess with it.
Yeah.
Maybe I make myself a pair of socks.
Yeah,
I don't know. That's a good question.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see if it would make a sock. I mean, that's
sure.
Yeah. Who knows how to use it,
Right, absolutely. It looks
Amazing.
very daunting. I mean, very threatening because I mean, there's needles poking up and all. I mean, there's no safety measures taken back then.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, so it looks very intimidating when you just look at it.
Oh
But
my,
yeah,
think about who operated that thing.
absolutely.
Goodness.
hmm
Well, how many artifacts are in the collection of the museum?
We just surpassed 32,000 artifacts.
Oh my.
Yeah, we have a lot. We have a lot.
Wow.
We just hired about 2 years ago, hired a new collections manager, and he's not from the area, but he was shocked at the amount of items we have because he said it's almost a curse because we have so many people bringing in artifacts often that we're gonna run out of room and we're gonna store this all and everything. He can't keep up, but it's a wonderful problem to have.
Oh,
You
it's a
know, that,
wonderful problem to have. Oh
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Now, what software are you using to keep track of that?
We use Past Perfect.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Because they're changing and I don't know, I don't know how to rate it between this or that or a spreadsheet or, whether it's the best or any of that stuff. I'm not qualified to do that. But I've heard just through, talking with good people such as yourself, that Past Perfect is changing and evolving and becoming online and, all of this stuff that seems to be like it's getting better all the time.
It is, yeah. We actually just upgraded about 2 years ago to the online version of Past Perfect, and it was a game changer. I mean, we can be down because I mentioned our collection storage is in our basement, so we can be downstairs in our basement, with a laptop, cataloging things down there,
Right.
not constantly going back and forth from their basement to our second floor, typing stuff up, and it's much nicer.
Oh yeah, very cool. Very cool. Now, do you guys do oral interviews at all?
That is another we have a lot of ongoing projects. We did quite a few back in I want to say the early 80s. So right now we have about 200 interviews on file.
Oh,
We did start another round of them in early 2020, but COVID, COVID happened, kind of ruined it. So we actually just sent out about a couple weeks ago a request for people to reach out and we're going to do another round of oral history. Reach out because we're looking to incorporate it in our new exhibit galleries.
how far back do the oral interview histories go in terms of people's memory? Is there anybody that remembers the people that came in the 1840s or that kind of thing?
Not that far back, unfortunately, no. We have people who maybe will remember kids or grandkids of those people, but I'd say probably the earliest back tells the stories of the Depression during the Second World War, things like that.
Okay, that's
Any
still pretty
farther
good.
yeah, it's pretty good. But any farther, I'd love to have that, but
No kidding.
nobody thought of that at that point in time.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's pretty cool.
Sure.
Now, you mentioned volunteers, and I know for a lot of organizations, volunteers are just the lifeblood of an organization, and people love the volunteers. What kind of volunteer opportunities does the association and the museum have for members and the public?
So we offer both short-term and long-term volunteer opportunities. So, short-term might look like helping out at one event, that we offer. Or if you want to come do some yard work and weed our flower bed, you can come 3 times a summer and do that. Or, offer some maintenance. More of the long-term opportunities, you can work in our gift shop, which is, you can be a greeter and talk to the people, which is a lot of fun. Or you can be in our office. And this summer, I think I mentioned we're looking at starting a docent program, which again, you'll have a schedule, and from 12 to 2 on Saturdays, you'll have you'll be a docent and you'll be able to do guided tours in our museum,
Oh, very
which
cool.
we're excited about. Yeah, we're planning on hosting like a volunteer fair, kind of similar like a job fair, and this is what you can do, and this is how you can help out, and are you interested? Sign up and see how it goes.
I had a museum that brought school children in for their summer break and trained them to be a docent over one exhibit. And they were called junior docents. And they got to do that for the summer.
Really? That's cool.
Yeah.
Huh.
I thought that was, and I haven't heard anyone else doing that, but that one organization, and I thought that was so cool.
Yeah, that's really unique, and how special for the kids. They'll remember that for
Yeah.
a long time.
Exactly. And
Huh,
they'll
yeah.
grow up with that.
hmm
What kinds of interesting books has your museum published?
We've published 2. We've published a pictorial history of Frankenmuth businesses. That was in 2002, and just a picture book. You flip through it, and it's all different businesses, and then it'll have a little description next to it. We've also done those Images of America books. We did one on Frankenmuth, and pretty similar pictures, and then a description next to it. That was in 2008. I have on my long-term to-do list, I want to write a children's book about Frankenmuth history.
Oh gosh,
and
I hope
have
you do
it
that.
kind of. What's that?
I hope you do that.
Thank you. I have it started, but I need to sit down and finish it. So maybe this fall we'll see. But that's my next goal of the book that the museum will publish.
Fantastic. That'll be so good. Let me ask this. Are there any resources, books, or tools you'd recommend for further learning about the history of the area?
I would, yeah. So it's a little outdated, but there's a book called Teach My People the Truth. And it's by Herman Zender, who was a local gentleman who lived here. He wrote it in 1970. So again, it's outdated in terms of maybe some of the language that would be used, or doesn't cover the last 50 years of Frankenmuth history. But for the early days of history, oh my gosh, it's wonderful. I give that book to any new employee that comes in. You read this book, and this is, if you want to learn anything about Frankenmuth history, this is where you learn it. The book is out of print currently, so it's a little hard to find, but you can find it on Amazon or eBay or something like that. But that's Frankenmuth 101 right there.
Okay, so say it slowly.
Teach My People the Truth.
By
Herman F. Zender.
Zender, Zender?
Zehnder.
Got it. Teach My People the Truth by Herman Zender. Very
Correct.
cool. Listeners, you can contact the Frankenmuth Historical Association at their website at frankenmuthmuseum.org. They're on Facebook at Frankenmuth Historical Museum. Hey, they have a Facebook gift shop called Muth Trading Post. You can contact via email at fhadirector1963@gmail.com. You can phone them at 989-652-9701. And I hope you go visit at 613 South Main Street, Frankenmuth, Michigan, 48734. Sound okay?
Sounds good.
All right. Now, Heidi, what kinds of things are available to do on your museum's website?
So we offer information about the museum itself and how to visit and our hours and things like that. But then also offer pages on how to donate artifacts. If you need any genealogy research, how to sign up for that, because we do require appointments for that. We also have a History on the Go page, which offers work pages for students or for homeschooled students. That was created during COVID, and we left it up because it's a great resource. And then also we all have our walking tour videos, which I had mentioned earlier. Are great resources for anybody who is interested in our history and can't necessarily visit.
You actually have the videos that when they scan the QR codes and they get those videos, you actually have those videos on your website.
We do, yeah.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, it's a nice website.
Thank you.
Yep. Anything else you want to mention about your website?
You could also, if you are interested in membership, we do also have that capability. If you'd want to be a member and don't want to call or email, you can join through our website. And then beyond our website, we also utilize, I think Sean had mentioned Facebook. We also use Instagram, YouTube, and I believe we do have a Twitter account as well.
Fantastic. And then volunteer opportunities, is that discussed on your website?
That's not on our website. That's something we would like people to reach out to in person.
Okay.
Whether, either a phone call or email.
Okay, got it. And I just read the contact information, so they should know how to do that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, fantastic. So what's the easiest method for members of the public to donate to the association?
So we don't take donations over our website. It costs a little extra money on our website, and we like to save that. So, mailing a check is always easiest. We also take payment over the phone.
Okay, fantastic.
Yeah.
How is the association attracting young talent and skills in your volunteer pool?
That's always a challenge. Young people they're busy. They may not want to volunteer, but we have a few local colleges that are nearby us, and some history classes require that you spend 20 hours of your volunteer time at a museum. So we are one of their, approved museums that, it's okay to do that at. So we offer volunteer opportunities for college students. That helps us a lot. And, some do their 20 hours and leave, but others, they stay on and kind of build a relationship, and they get to learn the ins and outs of a working museum that way.
Fantastic. Can you tell the audience about any current initiatives or needs of the museum that you want the people of your area to know about and support?
So I had mentioned, we're in that middle of the exhibit expansion. We're probably about a month or month and a half out from being done. That's our big push. That's our big deal. The last time we did it was, almost 30 years ago. We're also, kind of on the brink of this oral history project, the docent program. And, overall, we're always looking for new ideas, new fundraisers, new events, suggestions on, what do you want to hear about? If you want to hear about, this subject of history, we will find someone to come in and do a lecture about it. I love taking advice, taking criticism, whatever, but I just want to make people known that this is their museum and that they are welcome to come in and share, however they want to.
Yeah, that's got to be so much work doing that new exhibit.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, just a little.
It's been fun. We've learned a lot. If I've learned anything, though, it's any project like this is always twice as more expensive and takes 3 times as long. But that's all part of it. It's great.
Do you survey the visitors that visit from all over the country?
We do. Yeah, at the end of our galleries is a paper survey, and we'll ask them. I think we'll ask them like their zip code just for a little bit of tracking purposes, and rate us from a scale of 1 to 5. What other museums have you gone to? What didn't you like about our museum? And it's really brought us some insight. Actually, we've had a couple comments of we don't have enough seating in the middle of our museum. You have to constantly be on your feet. So we went out and we bought some benches, and we have some seating now. It's stuff that you don't think about as an employee here. You're not here visiting. So it's been nice having that.
Yeah, because then you get feedback from all over the country, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's fun too to see where people are from. I think last year I took notes of where everybody was from, and I think it was 47 states, which was really cool.
Wow.
And a couple different countries, people not from the US, which was even cooler, came here. And it's kind of exciting, and it's kind of humbling that they walk in door to door. It's really neat.
Yeah, I'm also constantly surprised by who listens to this podcast. They're from.
Oh, I'm sure.
I was really surprised that they're from all over the world. It's amazing.
Yeah. And it's like, how do they find you? But the internet's a wonderful thing, and it's really cool.
Thank you for that, Heidi. Mm-hmm. Why is the association and the museum important to the community, and what makes your organization different or unique from others?
So Frankenmuth's history is pretty unique, just in its own story, but then also the way it's kept this heritage up for so long. I think that makes people want to preserve it even more. So then when our organization does host events such as our auction or something like that, people will attend and support us. They'll attend to the events, and then they'll give donations, they'll bid, they'll buy raffle tickets, or just donate. We have a paddle raise where you don't get anything for it, but you donate money. Those always work out really well for us. I think the history, the uniqueness of the history is such a big factor of that. That everybody, takes pride in it and really values it a lot.
Cool. Thank you. What would the priorities and goals be if the association had enough money and volunteers and didn't have to worry about those things? And how would things be different?
That's a good question. I'd like to say we'd expand. And again, I know, we're landlocked. I don't know where we'd go, but I'd love to add on and add more museum and things like that. There'd be no limit on our shelving or our fireproof storage drawers for our collections. Because right now the ones we have are hand-me-downs and they've seen better days. We'd have, the updates that, they aren't really needed, but they could be used. Like, I don't think my office has been painted since 1973, but it's little things like that of just, paint job and maybe new flooring and things like that. We definitely use a little more emphasis on advertising, and again, because of our location, we don't need to advertise as much, but a little more emphasis on advertising. We would maybe sponsor some events a little more than we currently do now, just because we're not able. It's a loaded question because I could probably go on and on.
Yep. Okay. Heidi, you mentioned earlier there's a need for people to make appointments to do genealogy work. What kind of consulting or genealogy research services do you offer to your members and non-members?
Sure. So we offer either genealogy research or just general research to our members completely free of charge. So if they come in and want to learn about their families or another family, you just get them their file and kind of let them go to town. If they're not doing, we have people that'll come in not doing genealogy. We had a gentleman come in yesterday. He wants everything we have on one-room schoolhouses. Well,
whoa. So
we can get him, I know that's a lot, but we can get them everything we have on those schoolhouses. So, so they can come in and look through our files for an hour, or we've had people come back multiple times because they ran out of time, for 12 hours, depending on how extensive it is. For non-members, we do charge just the $25, and that's the same fee as individual membership. So you're basically a member then. So that gives us an opportunity to, send them some newsletters and just kind of get them involved with the museum a little more, and then hopefully they renew their membership and are here for years to come.
Fantastic. Thank you. Mm-hmm. What's the best way for people to connect with someone in the association if they have questions?
You can email, website, call, do a form on the website, call me. Facebook message, whatever. We're always really quick to respond. And we had people reach out, I found this really cool photograph, take a look at it. And those are always cool. Or you have people just say, what time are you open till tonight or whatever. But we always try to respond fairly quickly to those.
Okay. And folks, I'll give the contact information one or two more times so you'll have it.
Okay. Sounds good.
Heidi, you're a serious lover of history, right?
I am.
What do you think the world will look like in 100 years?
That's hard to say. I started that question out thinking, okay, what did 100 years ago look like? What did it look like in 1924? And all the changes that have happened. And it's fun to imagine, 100 years from now, seeing flying cars and hoverboards and things like that. But I don't know. It's hard to imagine technology improving any more than it really can. I would expect seeing some improvements on medicine. I'm sure a higher cost of living for one. I think it'd be very different. I'd hope that the Historical Association is still here at that time.
Yeah, that would be really nice.
Yeah.
In a different form. I don't know. Quantum computing's coming in.
That's true.
AI is coming in. Gosh. Medical advancements, maybe cancer's cured.
That would be nice.
What else is going on?
I would be all about that.
Gosh. Oh, maybe we'll be on Mars by then.
That could be. That's true. We might not even be on planet Earth anymore.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Well, we'll have a colony anyway on the Mars.
Sure.
Maybe. Who knows what we'll find.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you tried to answer that question. It's a hard one.
It's a hard one. I even went out and asked some staff, like, what do you think I cheated. What do you think the world will look like in 100 years?
Yeah.
And I had one person say flying cars, and somebody else mentioned, think of Back to the Future Part 2 when Marty or what's his name?
Oh, I know who you're talking.
Fox. Michael Fox.
Yeah, Michael Fox. Yeah.
Is that it? Okay. Went to the future and flying cars and everybody's dressed funny and things like that. And
I hope we don't have flying cars at all. I hope we do transporters like in Star Trek.
Oh, that would be nice.
Yeah.
Beam me up, Scotty.
Yeah, just transport around the planet wherever you want to go, you know?
That would be very convenient.
Yeah.
Save on gas. Yeah, that would be nice.
Heck yeah.
We'll see.
Well,
We'll
I
see.
mean, with quantum stuff, they've already done quantum singularities and that kind of thing. They've proven that they can, what was it? They just did an experiment where they actually did a quantum singularity or quantum entanglement, they call it. Yeah, that's what it is. Quantum entanglement at a distance. And so they're getting closer to it.
That's insane. That's crazy to think about. But I mean, again, you know, think of what it looked like 100 years ago from now. And I'm sure our ancestors, you know, our grandparents, you know, when we're talking on laptops, they that wouldn't have even come up on their mind back then.
No.
So I'm sure
Well,
whatever 100 years, we can't even imagine.
Now there's a company that's taking cells from chickens. Speaking of chickens, they take a single cell from the feather of a chicken, and they're able to manufacture meat from that, and as much as you want. And if you're talking about that, you know, on Star Trek, they had the replication machines where they just walked up to the machine, said, you know, give me a bucket of fried chicken, and it would produce that.
Sure, that could be.
It could be.
You never know.
Yeah. Now, Heidi, is there any other information or message you'd like the community or members to know about?
Really just, and this, I know you asked the community or members, but this goes a little broader, just the general public of the world. Support your local museum. We're doing really good things. What is it? Those who don't learn history are doomed to repeat it.
That's right.
We're preserving history, your history, so you don't repeat the bad things.
Yep. And we are doomed to repeat it if we don't remember it.
That's right. No, we're working hard at preserving your stories and your grandparents' stories and someday your children's stories. And that's, you know, this is an ongoing, never-ending job. And I always say, you know, there's some days when I feel like we lose because, you know, you see somebody passes away and it's like, oh my gosh, you know, they were 99 years old. Think of all the history they had. And it's kind of an uphill battle to preserve it all. But support from people, whether it's financial or just, hey, nice job, you guys are doing awesome, or thank you for, you know, what you're doing, that goes a long ways. And it's really great to hear stuff like that.
Well, I'll tell you that every single day.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yep. I appreciate you very much. That's why we're here. That's why we exist. Sure. Reflecting just a bit, how do you think your members, volunteers, and the community view you and the association in terms of benefit and value?
I hope and I think they think of us, and, you know, a positive thought kind of comes with that. We work really hard to enforce that. You know, we want them to remember us when they're cleaning out a house or a garage, you know, and they find an old artifact that they don't know what to do with, or, you know, they know their kids will throw it away. And I want them to know that we're a safe space for their family heirlooms. We'll take care of it, and we will tell future generations about them and their history and this artifact. And just that, you know, we're like I said earlier, we're doing a good thing here of preserving your history.
Thank you, Heidi. I want to thank you for spending time with us today. You're truly a unique individual, a hometown girl, and actually a hometown lady, and you're just full of history and doing the right thing and working hard for the community. I really appreciate having you on the program. It's really inspiring to get to know you a little bit and get to know Frankenmuth, and what a history, what a fabric you guys have. So thank you very much.
Absolutely, and thank you so much for having me, Sean. This has been fun, and I love talking about. There's one thing I love talking about. It's Frankenmuth history, and I probably could have went on 4 more episodes, but it's been great.
And with that, we'll end our time with our guest, Ms. Heidi Chapman. Listeners, please stay tuned for my comments and wrap up, which is coming up next. Hey, thank you for joining me today on this enlightening journey through the rich history and vibrant present of Frankenmuth, Michigan. Our conversation with the director of the Frankenmuth Historical Association and Museum, Ms. Heidi Chapman, has truly been a fun and informative experience. As we delved into Frankenmuth's past and present, it became evident that Ms. Chapman is more than just a director. She embodies the essence of the town itself. A fifth-generation local resident and passionate historian, Ms. Chapman's dedication to preserving and sharing the heritage of Frankenmuth is truly commendable. Having graduated with a degree in history from Saginaw Valley State University, Ms. Chapman's academic prowess is matched only by her 8 years of exemplary work and leadership as the director of the Frankenmuth Historical Association. Her commitment to excellence and the community is very evident. For those inspired by Ms. Chapman's tireless efforts, there's a unique opportunity to show your appreciation. If anyone wants to donate to help surprise Ms. Chapman with something special, please consider donating towards refurbishing her office, a space that has remained untouched since 1973. It needs painted and the flooring redone. Now go onto your favorite map app and take a look at Frankenmuth. You'll notice that Frankenmuth itself is a town unlike others. It's a place where visitors can escape the hustle and bustle of modern life and immerse themselves in its timeless charm. Founded in the mid-1840s by German and Bavarian immigrants on a mission of goodwill, Frankenmuth's rich cultural tapestry is woven with stories of resilience and community spirit. As we look forward to the grand reopening of the museum's refurbished galleries and exhibits in June, it's clear that 2024 holds great promise for the association. Heidi and her team have been working hard on this for a year and a half. From the annual Bavarian Festival to the world-renowned Christmas store and the captivating snow carving festival, there's never a dull moment in Frankenmuth. The association's fundraising efforts, including the upcoming 40th annual auction, are vital for its continued success. With your support through donations, memberships, or simply spreading the word, you can ensure that the legacy of Frankenmuth endures for generations to come. For those eager to delve deeper into Frankenmuth's history, consider becoming a member of the association or attending one of its many engaging events, from lectures to movie nights and educational programs for school children. And let's not forget about the association's own podcast, Historians in Lederhosen, a treasure trove of insights waiting to be explored on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or Anchor. In closing, as we celebrate the remarkable achievements of the Frankenmuth Historical Association and Museum, let's remember that its true essence lies in the stories it preserves and the community it serves. With your continued support, the future of Frankenmuth's Historical Association and Museum is brighter than ever before. I thoroughly enjoyed the time spent with Director Heidi Chapman. She and the Frankenmuth Historical Association are truly preservation oaks. Now, just one last time, the contact information, their website is frankenmuthmuseum.org. You can find them on Facebook at Frankenmuth Historical Museum, and their gift shop on Facebook is Muth, M-U-T-H, Trading Post. You can email them at fhadirector1963@gmail.com. You can phone them at 989-652-9701. And you can visit them, and I hope you do, at 613 South Main Street, Frankenmuth, Michigan, 48734. Now, if questions occur to you and you'd like more information, please connect with the association via the contact information provided. If you're a listener in the area the association serves, or if you're a listener researching ancestors in the community the association serves and you're not already a member, please consider joining and supporting the association. I hope this information helps the audience understand how valuable the association is in the community and what kinds of excellent services they have to offer their members and the public. By the way, lately we've been asking our guests the question, what do you think the world will look like in 100 years? I think it's an interesting question, and our guests have interesting thoughts about this topic. We're thinking about doing a special episode on this topic and including listener responses to the questions. So if you'd like to comment and express your thoughts on what you think the world will look like in 100 years, please send them to preservationoaks@gmail.com. We'd love to see what you think, and thank you. Okay, that's a wrap for this episode. Music used today is from Cymbalbird, Wild Kitty Tunes, Fat Bunny, Sound Roll, Music Premium, Ed Gavilon, Marion, and Scott Holmes. MicroStream Radio is a registered trademark. You can visit us at www.microstreamradio.com. This broadcast is owned and copyrighted by MicroStream Radio. It cannot be rebroadcast, downloaded, copied, or used anywhere without the written permission of MicroStream Radio. Hey, thanks to everybody for listening. This is Sean Radcliff. We'll see you next time on Preservation Oaks. And until then, keep on giving and keep on living the good life.